Good morning to all. So you are watching on the screen angular velocity and its relation with linear velocity. So what is angular velocity? What is linear velocity? Already you people studied. So what is an angular velocity? So on the relation between angular velocity and linear velocity, there is one question is framed in your textbook for 4 marks for short answer questions. The question is like this: define angular velocity. Derive v is equal r omega. So what is an angular velocity? So, omega is equal d theta by dt. The rate of change of angular displacement of the particle is called angular velocity. So when the body is rotating in a circular path, the body may have both velocities. Now, here I am going to deriving the relation between both velocities of the rotating body. So for example, let us consider a body of mass is moving in a circular path of radius r. The body is moving along the circumference of this circle, where the radius of this circle is r. So this is the center of this circle. Let us say O. The particle started on the circle from the point A. After t seconds, the particle reaches the point B on the circumference of this circle. So during this time, dt seconds. If the particle makes theta angle at the center, the angle made by the particle at the center is, let us say, d theta. The displacement of the particle on the circumference of circle is s, or let us take ds. In how much time? In dt seconds. Here the angle made by the particle at the center, angular displacement. In how much time? In t seconds. Now according to this figure, so according to your geometry, there is one basic formula. Here the length of the arc. If you take the length of the arc from A to B, the length of the arc S is equal radius into d theta. The basic formula in geometry. Here the length of the arc is equal to the product of radius and angle made by the particle at the center. Now this equation dividing both sides by dt. Now what happened? Here ds by dt is equal r into d theta by dt. Here what is ds by dt? Now ds by dt is equal to the rate of change of displacement, linear displacement is called linear velocity. Here the rate of change of angular displacement is called angular velocity. So instead of ds by dt, we take instead of ds by dt, we take v. Instead of d theta by dt, we take omega. Now it becomes what happened? V is equal r omega. The relation between angular velocity and linear velocity is equal v is equal r omega. V is equal linear velocity of the rotating body. Omega is equal to angular velocity of the rotating body. So V is equal to R omega. This is the relation between linear and angular velocity. So what do you understand by watching this equation? Here linear velocity depends upon the radius of the circular path. The radius of the circular path. That is why the linear velocity of all the particles of the rigid body is not same. The particles which are nearer to the axis of rotation have lesser linear velocity. The particles which are away from the axis of rotation are having more linear velocity. But angular velocity of all the particles of the rigid body is same. V is equal to R omega. The very most important derivation, don't forget. Here some known facts about in rotatory motion, the angular velocity of all the particles is the same, but the linear velocities are different. Why? Because V proportional to R. The velocity of the particle which moves near the axis of rotation are less, and those of particles which are moved further are having more linear velocity. V is equal to R omega. Here the direction of velocity of angular velocities along the axis of rotation. Already I brought your notice. If the rigid body is moving in anti-clockwise direction, the direction of angular velocity is vertically up, perpendicular to the plane of rotation. If the body is moving in clockwise, again perpendicular, vertically down, perpendicular to the plane of rotation. So this is the information about angular velocity and linear velocity of rotating bodies. Now next, so far, angular displacement, angular velocity, angular acceleration, the relation between V and omega. Now, I would like to talk another important quantity, torque. Torque or moment of force. And already you people studied about force in previous chapters. What is force? Push or pull. Something which changes the state of the body, or which changes the state of the body, or try to change it. That is called force, or push or pull, simply roughly speaking. So which is producing translatory motion or linear motion, a straight line motion. The force is the cause of translatory motion. Now this figure is most related to you. So you people are having more inertia. You are not interested to rise early hours. So she stops. She's applying force to stop watch clock, alarm clock. To stop alarm clock, she is using applying force. In the same manner, in the rotatory motion, the torque plays same role. Torque is the cause of rotatory motion. If you want to produce the turning effect, the best example is spanner. Now what we are doing here, we are applying a torque on a spanner. Then what happened? The torque produced the turning effect in a spanner. So what is torque? Now I would like to talk briefly. That another very most important. It is closely related to day-to-day life. If you want to push or pull a door, so what we are doing, we are applying the force at the another side of the hinges. So by applying force at the hinges. We cannot open, we cannot close. It is our day-to-day life experience. Here, if you want to push or pull, or if you want to close or open the door. So what we are doing, we are applying torque. Here the torque produce the turning effect. Not only in the case of door, if you want to open like this. Or if you want to open lock, we are applying torque. Now when tap is opened, water, that is also torque. So torque is nothing but what? A force which produces the turning effect. A force which produces translatory motion. That is called linear force. So here we are the turning effect. But how to calculate the turning effect in the case of a door? Now you know very well. So this is door. So this is handle. These are the hinges. So if you want to push or pull or close or open, we must apply the force at another side of the hinges. Then it is so easy to open or close. Then that force is produced the turning effect. Now that force is called torque. But how can we calculate here torque in this case? Now this is a door. Just once again, you know very well, every day we are opening. So while opening door, we are applying the force. Now the door is opened by applying force here exactly perpendicular. So after opening the door, now what happened? Now door is opened. Here we are applying the force like this. This is so this is called the line of action of force. What do you call? The line of action of force. This is length of the door. Here we want this distance. We call perpendicular distance. What do you call? Perpendicular distance. To find the effect of torque here, this is called the line of action of force. The line of action. The line of action of force. Here length of the door. So we want this distance. Here the angle if you take, so this is force, the line of force. In this case, we are applying the force here. This force acts at another point. So we take the distance between these 2 points. The distance between these 2 points is called perpendicular distance. So if you take the triangle sin theta is equal opposite side by hypotenuse. So this perpendicular distance by r. So perpendicular distance becomes what? R sin theta. Perpendicular distance is equal R sin theta. R sin. So in this course, if you want to calculate the turning effect, the formula is the torque is equal force into perpendicular distance. Perpendicular distance. So here all torque is always shown with tau. It looks like a alphabet T. Force is equal to capital F. Perpendicular distance is equal or sine theta. So this is the way of method to calculate the torque, the turning effect of the force. F into R sin theta. And here the effect of torque is depends upon your R sin theta value on R value. So while open or close, we must apply the door here only. Why? Because your R is more. If you are applying force, for example, at this point, then what happened? R decreases. Perpendicular distance decreases. Then the effect of torque is also decreases. Suppose if you are applying the same force at the hinges, the perpendicular distance becomes 0. That is why we cannot open, we cannot close the door. So if you want to open or close the door, the force must be applied at another point of the hinges. On the same concept, 1 2 mark question is also framed in your textbook. Now I want to show that question. And here, this is direction of force, perpendicular distance. This is the direction of torque. So in the case of door, the torque is takes place in the direction of vertically up, like this. In the line of hinges, this is the direction of torque. So this is the direction of force. Like this. The torque or moment of force about a point is the turning effect of the force about that point. The turning effect of the force about that point. So it is measured by the product of the force and the perpendicular distance of the point from the line of action of force. So the magnitude of torque is F into R sin theta. And if F and R both are perpendicular, torque becomes maximum. If both are parallel, if theta is equal to 0, F becomes, torque becomes 0. And the same question just now I told you. In your textbook, there is a 2 mark question, very short answer question. We cannot open or close the door by applying force at the hinges. Why? Why? Because if the force is applied at the hinges, the perpendicular distance of force is 0. Hence, there will be no turning effect. Howsoever a large force is applied. To open or close, the force must be applied at another side of the hinges. Then only it is so easy. And another beautiful question. Now you go through this one. Why do we prefer Why do prefer a spanner of longer arm as compared to the spanner of shorter arm? And if our car tire or our two-wheeler tire is punctured, if you want to remove tire, we are using jockey and using a long arm spanner. So why you are prefer a long arm spanner like this? If the long arm spanner is using, the torque become more, the perpendicular distance is more, R is equal more. The turning effect R into F. When arm of the spanner is long, R is larger. Therefore, small force will produce the same turning effect. Hence, a spanner of longer arm is preferred as compared to the spanner of shorter arm. You go through these pictures. And if the force is applied at this corner, the perpendicular distance is more, then the torque is also more. Now, here the perpendicular in the figure 2, the perpendicular distance decreasing because the length of the spanner is decreasing. Then that effect of torque is also decreases. Again here figure 3rd, the perpendicular distance, we are taking the spanner of very shorter length. Then what happened? Still perpendicular distance decreases a great amount. Then the torque is also decreases. Finally, in the figure 4th, the force is applied at the hinges, at the fixed point. Now perpendicular distance is 0, no torque is applied. Now it not produce turning effect. Now we cannot remove. So that is the reason we should use always a spanner of longer arm. Why? Because perpendicular distance is more, then the more torque will be applied. Another important question. Why can we not rise from a chair without bending a little forward? It is our day-to-day life experience. After sitting on the chair, while rising from the chair, so we are bending our body. Without bending our body, we cannot rise. So why? It is, I think you all are experiencing this. Now see, so while rising from chair, how she is bending her body. Not only her, even though we are also. While rising from chair, definitely we are bending our body. Without bending, we can't rise. Why? Because when we are sitting on the chair, our body forms a torque. Then what happened? The center of gravity will be take place under the bottom side of the chair. That is why we cannot rise without bending, because our body forms torque. So when we are bending, the center of gravity shifted above our feet. Then the torque is disappear. Then we can rise easily from the chair. Now, when a person sitting in a chair, the weight forms a torque above the feet, and that makes us unable to rise from the chair. When we bend forward and bring the center of gravity of the body above the feet, from the middle of the chair, then the torque disappears. So now it becomes possible to rise from the chair. Okay, are you understood? Now, next, another question, a 4-mark question. Define angular acceleration and torque. Establish the relation between angular acceleration and torque. So we will continue in next class. Okay. Thank you to all.